Good evening, you are watching ReNEWS in English. I am Sona Tumanyan. We begin tonight with a developing story from the South Caucasus, where a significant diplomatic push is underway between Armenia and Turkey. In the coming days, Special Envoys Ruben Rubinian of Armenia and Sardar Kılıç of Turkey are set to meet in Armenia, a move confirmed by the Armenia Foreign Ministry. Turkish broadcaster NTV, citing diplomatic sources, suggests that Kılıç's delegation is expected to arrive via the Alican border crossing, a location central to the ongoing discussions. This meeting follows a crucial agreement made back in July 2022 in Vienna, where both sides pledged to open their land border for citizens of third countries as soon as possible. Armenia has already invested approximately 1 billion drams to reconstruct its Margara border crossing. Yet the exact timeline for the full implementation of this agreement remains unclear, leaving many questions unanswered about the future of this critical regional relationship.
Turkey's special envoy for the normalization of Armenian-Turkish relations, Serdar Kılıç, is coming to Armenia to meet with Armenia's special representative, Ruben Rubinian. According to the Armenian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they will discuss steps for normalizing relations. Rubinian told journalists today in the National Assembly that they would talk with their Turkish counterpart about opening the closed border and establishing diplomatic relations.
The main topic is the normalization of relations. The entire process is about opening the closed border and establishing diplomatic relations. The discussions are mainly about this. The principle of reciprocity works here. They meet once in Turkey, then they meet in Armenia. I don't think we should make a big event out of this and hope that if it takes place in Armenia this time, the Turks will come to Yerevan with a slightly milder stance or soften their position regarding the border opening conditional on the normalization of Armenian-Azerbaijani relations. I don't think so.
International relations expert Grigor Balasanyan believes that the meetings will not be in Yerevan but in the border area.
To elevate his role, he has been granted such a high title as the representative of the President of Turkey for the normalization of Armenian-Turkish relations. However, Kılıç himself will exclusively deal with the work of opening border checkpoints or the border crossing. And to make an event out of this and say that this marks the beginning of Armenian-Turkish diplomatic dialogue or dialogue at the level of two states, I think it is too early to draw such conclusions.
According to the international relations expert, it is, of course, acceptable for specialists that relations with Turkey should be normalized. In this century, it is not normal for countries' borders to be closed, but in this case, Turkey closed the border, and it should take the first step, he says. Ankara will hardly appreciate our good neighborly approach, the expert believes.
I am skeptical this time too about whether Turkey will open the border. Turkey is playing a very coordinated game with Azerbaijan in the region, and now both Azerbaijan and Turkey seem to have found the Armenian side's weak point and are constantly referring to the border, trying to extract maximum concessions from Armenia.
As it tried to do in previous stages of normalization, Turkey, being one of the first to recognize the Republic of Armenia, was not in a hurry to establish diplomatic relations. It had clear demands: concessions on the Karabakh issue and renunciation of international recognition of the genocide. The football diplomacy in 2008 was a similar example. During the World Cup qualifying matches, Turkish President Abdullah Gül visited Armenia, and then Serdar Sargsyan visited Turkey. A year later in Zurich, the foreign ministers of the two countries signed two protocols for the normalization of relations. The football quickly moved beyond the rules of the political field. Shortly after the signing, Turkey, bringing forward Azerbaijani interests, returned to its previous stance, stating that it would not ratify the protocols until the Karabakh conflict was resolved. The process reached a dead end. Armenian-Turkish dialogue resumed in 2021. About a year after the 44-day war, the institution of special envoys was created. Ruben Rubinian and Serdar Kılıç have already met 5 times. This year, Nikol Pashinyan also made a working visit to Turkey. Seaman Hovhannisyan, Stepan Tigranyan, ReOpen Media.
Armenia's National Assembly has just convened its 10th regular session of the 8th convocation. Following the national anthem, Speaker Alen Simonyan introduced 2 new members from the ruling civil contract faction, Esther Ayvazyan and Vanik Ohanyan. They fill the seats previously held by Aren Mugurcan and Arsen Torosyan, who recently resigned their mandates. The agenda for this session includes key decisions such as the election of a judge for the criminal chamber of the Court of Cassation, the selection of a member for the Public Services Regulatory Commission, and the annual report for the activities of the Central Bank, among other important matters. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Islamic Emirates of Afghanistan has expressed gratitude and appreciation to countries, including Armenia, international organizations and aid agencies, for their condolences, sympathy, expression of humanitarian solidarity, and assistance following the recent earthquake earthquake in the eastern part of the country, which caused human and material losses. This was announced on the Afghan Foreign Ministry's X page. According to the latest information, a 6-magnitude earthquake in eastern Afghanistan on August 31 resulted in 2,205 deaths and 3,640 injuries. Russia's primary priorities in the South Caucasus region are peace and cooperation, and these have never changed. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov stated this while addressing students and faculty at MGIMO, as reported by TASS. Our priorities have never changed. They are peace and cooperation, and they remain the same today, emphasized the head of the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. In Stavropol, an Azerbaijani citizen has been arrested who, according to Russian special services, planned terrorist acts on Russian territory on their instructions from Ukrainian handlers. The man previously served in special units of the Azerbaijani Armed Forces, the Federal Security Service announced. The detainee had planned to prepare several explosive devices in Esentuki and Stavropol, including for carrying out terrorist acts in the buildings of law enforcement agencies. 4 people have been killed and 5 others seriously wounded in a shooting in Jerusalem, Israel's emergency services reported. Ambulance crews pronounced 4 people, a man around 50 years old and 3 men around 30 years old, dead and transported 5 people with severe gunshot wounds to the hospital. Several people injured by glass shots received on-site assistance, the MDA press service stated. According to the Cannes public broadcaster, 2 armed assailants entered a bus on Monday morning and opened fire on passengers at the remote intersection in Jerusalem. Israeli police reported that the terrorists were neutralized on the spot. It is known that the attackers used Carlo-type weapons, which are manufactured in turning and metalworking workshops in the West Bank. In the morning, the Prime Minister of Armenia first wished everyone a good morning with a song every dawning morning, and then announced that he is donating the Bible that accompanied him both on the ground and in prison to the Museum of the Bible in Washington.
This Bible came into my possession while I was in hiding. I want to remind you that I was in hiding from March 2, 2008 until July 1, 2009. And later, this Bible was with me in prison for a period of 1 year and 11 months. And recently, during a visit to the United States, an idea came up and I promised that I would donate this Bible to the Museum of the Bible in Washington. And now this process is taking place, and in the near future, I will send the gift to the Museum of the Bible in Washington. And I believe this book, which is very important and dear to me, will find its home in a very important place, and that is the right place for it to be.
And now some international news. President Trump announced an upcoming call with Vladimir Putin, confident they would resolve the Russia-Ukraine situation, citing his past success in ending multiple long-lasting conflicts. Iran's Deputy Foreign Minister warned of a very high probability of military conflict with Israel, but reiterated Tehran's efforts to prevent a new regional war, while also claiming the IAEA was unsupportive amid a nuclear war against Iran. Massive anti-Erdogan protests in Istanbul turned violent as opposition supporters defied the rally ban, clashing with police, prompting the Turkish president to warn the opposition against playing with the nerves of Turks. President Trump expressed confidence that a Gaza agreement for the release of remaining Israeli hostages and bodies would be finalized very quickly, but offered no further details. And Ukrainian President Zelensky asserted that Putin's war aim is full control of Ukraine, demanded his victory, and rejected Putin's offer for the peace talks in Moscow, refusing to visit the terrorist capital while his country is under attack, and accused Putin of delaying direct negotiations. One of this year's major astronomical events, the second total lunar eclipse of the moon, has occurred. This lunar eclipse is also known as the blood moon. This phenomenon was last observed 7 years ago, and according to astronomers, it will not happen again until December 31, 2028. The story of the Night Queen's eclipse is in our next report.
A total lunar eclipse, or the so-called blood moon, one of the rare and impressive celestial events, was witnessed by billions of people across the planet, including in Armenia. It was the longest eclipse in the last 3 years. The astrophysical show began yesterday evening at 7:28 p.m. Yerevan time and lasted a total of 5 hours and 27 minutes. The peak of the eclipse, when the moon completely entered Earth's central shadow, lasted 1 hour and 22 minutes, allowing sky enthusiasts to enjoy a spectacle considered mysterious for many centuries. The phenomenon was visible in Europe, Asia, Africa, and Australia.
The moon was really cool to see. I looked through some of the telescopes, and I was able to see Saturn and also the blood moon.
I'm here with my friend, and we came all the way to Jerusalem, especially to see the eclipse. We're very excited.
During a total lunar eclipse, even though direct rays from the sun do not reach the moon, it does not completely disappear from the night sky.
The blood moon is basically a lunar eclipse, where when the shadow of the Earth comes in between the moon, it falls on the moon, it's between the moon and the sun, so there is no light from the sun that reaches the moon, and it slowly turns dark, and when it's fully eclipsed, then it becomes red.
Although lunar eclipses are observed more frequently than solar ones, they are still not monthly occurrences. Typically, 2 to 4 lunar eclipses occur within a year. However, total eclipses, like the one on September 7th, are much rarer. The sequence of eclipses repeats approximately every 18 years, a period known as Saros. For millennia, lunar eclipses have evoked both awe and fear among people, weaving numerous myths around them. One of the famous historical incidents happened with Christopher Columbus. In 1504, while in Jamaica, his and his team's food supplies were running out because the natives had stopped providing them with provisions. Knowing about the impending lunar eclipse, Columbus declared that God was angry and, as punishment, would take away the moon. When the eclipse began, the frightened natives started supplying food again, begging Columbus to return the moon. In many cultures, it was believed that during an eclipse, some creature would swallow the moon. The Egyptians believed it was a pig that consumed Earth's natural satellite. The Chinese believed it was a 3-legged toad or a dragon, and the Mayans believed it was a black jaguar. Mary Danielian, ReOpen Media.
Tennis player Elena Avanesian is finally representing Armenia under the national flag. She is the first Armenian athlete to be ranked in the top 40 of the world tennis classification table, this year reaching as high as 36th. My colleague Ani Hovanesyan tells the story of this Armenian athlete.
It's a true tennis celebration in Sagzador. Just minutes ago, dozens of tennis enthusiasts had the chance to meet Elena Avanesian. Avanesian is the first Armenian athlete to be ranked in the top 40 of the Women's Tennis Association's world rankings. This year, she was as high as 36th. Tennis fans also had the opportunity to participate in a masterclass with their favorite athlete. Over 200 children and tennis fans have gathered at Sagzador's main sports complex. It's a wonderful opportunity to personally interact with the famous tennis player and hear advice from her.
Both last year and this year, I can say that our meeting and masterclass with Elena passes with great enthusiasm. A very large number of children, parents, and athletes show interest in the masterclass.
The athlete, who received Armenian citizenship about a year ago, has been representing our country in international tennis tournaments since August of last year. In 2023, she won the biggest tournament of her career in Wiesbaden, Germany.
I'm very inspired by Avanesian's game. I generally love tennis very much. What are your future plans? I want to become a famous tennis player. In the future, I'd also like to become a coach. I love tennis very much. I've known about Elena for a long time, always knew she existed and that she was Armenian. And now I'm even happier that she will represent Armenia.
The tennis player, with Artsakh roots, is a master of sport in Russia. In recent years, Elena has been living and training in Spain. She says she always proudly states that she represents Armenia.
I think a lot of people have potential, you just have to work on it. So I believe everybody from here today can be a big star in the future, so hopefully we can work on it and have more, stars in the future from Armenia.
The 22-year-old athlete started playing tennis at the age of 6. She understands the big dreams of little ones very well.
Elena plays very well. She signed it. I'm very happy. I learned from her that even in the most difficult, toughest games, you have to be able to fight for victory.
The inspiration is that if I don't give up, I will fight until the last second.
The masterclass, organized on the initiative of the Kesedon Foundation and the Tennis Federation, aims to increase interest in tennis in our country and to have future champions.
Such events provide very serious motivation for our children, yes, among those who train in this sport, both boys and we have good athletes in both girls and boys groups with whom we tie a good future. We have both 16-year-olds and among the younger ones, yes, 10, 12-year-olds. We just need to work correctly with them. A professional approach is needed.
After the masterclass, which lasted about 3 hours, the tennis players signed the children's balls as a sign or wish for future success. Ani Hovanesyan, ReOpen Media.
Yerevan Mayor Tigran Avinyan has addressed the persistent issue of traffic congestion in the Armenian capital, stating that current levels are lower compared to last year and that efforts to alleviate traffic will continue. However, Avinyan also acknowledged a broader challenge. The number of vehicles in both Yerevan and across the country is projected to steadily increase. He emphasized the necessity for annual additional measures to mitigate factors contributing to slower traffic flow, highlighting the ongoing battle against gridlock in the rapidly growing city.
Next year, I think we need to implement a large-scale program for increasing bike lanes as well as widening sidewalks. Next, we have the issue of adding new bus routes.
In a world where you can be anything but kind, the most remarkable part of the Armenia-Portugal match wasn't just the score. Despite our team's defeat, a little Armenian boy named Ruben, who plays inclusive football, experienced the biggest victory of his life. He walked onto the field at the start of the game holding Cristiano Ronaldo's hand. The footage later appeared on Ronaldo's own Instagram page with the caption, "I made a new friend yesterday. I hope everyone gets to follow their dreams." Chase your dreams relentlessly and with confidence, because the path to their realization is incredibly beautiful and brings unimaginable happiness. This much for today. I'm Sona Tumanyan. Stay informed with ReNews. Good night.